Welcome, welcome, and Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. So we were finishing up the story of Dinah, and what happened was Jacob had spoken to Shimon and Levi and told them that they had really upset the apple cart, and in making him odious in terms of all the neighbors. I mean, to put it mildly, what they did was incredible. And this is what they say to him. They say, shall our sister be treated or made into a prostitute? Hakazona yaseh et achotenu. And Rashi has some things to do that we did not cover. So, kozona, that's a word that is used for prostitute. I believe that the word zona actually means something to the effect of going astray. Okay, that's going off the proper path. Rashi translates it as hefker. Hefker means like ownerless property, meaning no one has responsibility. You can simply help yourself. If you come across hefker, you are allowed to help yourself to it. And there's certain circumstances that render something hefker. And in fact, you can take something that belongs to you. And of course, the whole issue of ownership is a very interesting issue, but you can declare, if you own it, you can declare it hefker, and you can do that legally, and that way you bear no relationship to that object, pretty much. More complicated than that, but that's the basic principle. So,
The bar mitzvah comment by the parents, is that making the kid hefker?
no, 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 it's making him responsible for his sins from here on in. That they're no longer that what you're saying is that bracha says, blessed is the one who acquitted me of any punishment due this one. That's essentially what it's saying. Or onish is like a punishment or accountability or something like that. So essentially, that's majority. That's achieving majority. Well, you're now legally responsible for all your actions, and that's what that's. So that's not hefker, but it's still a great question. Okay, so et achotenu. So this is you'll see there's quite a long comment here. So our sister, right? Our sister. And he says yat achatana. He takes the Aramaic, right? Yat la achatana. That's what it is there anyway, right? And he explains. There's a parenthetical comment here that may, in fact, be an editorial, or this is not in the original Rashi, but an editor made this comment. Hevi HaTirgum, he brought, that is Rashi, brings in the Targum, the Aramaic translation, Al Milat Achotenu, concerning the word Achotenu. Now look carefully at this word. Do you want me to pose a riddle? What do you see that's unusual about this? Look at this word, achotenu, our sister, and look at this word, achotenu, in the verse itself. Do you notice a difference? Do you want to tell me what the difference is? Going, gone. All right. Notice that there's a yud here, and there's no yud here, okay? And he's quoting this editor, right? Is saying that the word is achotenu, which he points as plural. The yud here, instead of our sister, achotenu with the yud means our sisters. Okay, and we're going to comment further about this. It's sort of an interesting little editorial piece here. Shehu nir'eh mitoch pasud, because it would appear from the verse itself, Belashon Rabim, that it is actually in the plural, mi dichtiv kan achotenu, right? Because it's written here with a yud. Except there's one little problem. Is it written with a yud? No, it isn't. And notice there is now this asterisk here. This is where it's referring to. Uvachol hasfarim shelanu. He says, but in all the Torah scrolls that we have, ketiv chaser yud, it doesn't have the yud in it. So here we have a textual comment here in terms of copyists or versions of the Torah. So it would appear that the version that Rashi had the Yud in it, but the version that we now have, right, doesn't have the Yud, right? And the point that is being made here is that because it's with the Yud, at least in Rashi's text it had a Yud, he brought in the Aramaic because that means our sister. We're going to talk about a little bit more. The Aramaic is clear. It means our sister. And that's what Rashi wanted us to understand. Okay. Mila. So here we go. Malay, it's full, beyud. In other words, achotenu, right? Either is with a yud or without a yud. Either way, it's still pronounced achotenu, right? Even though achotenu without the yud is our sister, and achotenu with the yud's pronounced exactly the same way, as far as I know, right? Is plural, right? Machotenu. And this, of course, here. Yat achatana, malay, okay, achotenu, malay, beyud, with a yud. Masha ein kain, which is not the case, he says, gabe Rivka, when they would refer to Rivka, back when Rivka is ready to go with Eliezer back to the land of Canaan, right, back to marry Isaac. Her family gathers around her and blesses her and says, Achotenu at, you, our sister, Hayeh la'alfei revava. May you be into thousands of myriads, right? Sham chaser yud. There is no yud in Achotenu, right? Achotenu. Excuse me, 1 second. Excuse me. And for that reason, Mefaresh Shekan, he explains that here, right, in this pasuk, in where Shimon and Levi are responding to Jacob, Hulashon Rabim, here it does have the language of plurality. And in that case, it refers to Al Kol Neshei Yisrael. It means all the daughters, all the women of Israel, achotehem, their sisters. Kahakazona, in other words, hakazona yeeseh. In other words, they're saying to Jacob, should Jewish women be treated like prostitutes? Right? But it isn't spelt that way for us. Right? So anyway, V'lachen mevi Rashi, and for this reason, Rashi brings the Targum shemitargem yat achatana. He translates it as yat achatana kam, okay, like our sister. This is singular, kamo lahalan, just as the Targum in the place where Rebecca is being blessed, they use the word achotenu, and it says yat achatana. Lahorot, to teach shehu lashon yachid, that in fact this is in the singular and QED, dok, right? This explains this strange little thing that happened here. Okay, so that is it for that chapter. I hope if you have any questions, please ask me. It was a little bit confusing. All right, new chapter.
Wait a
Vayom,
second.
yeah,
Um,
please.
words that end in cholam malay
Yud,
ta.
say that
You,
again.
it's are usually plural, but there's ach brother and achot sister,
Right.
not a plural word.
No, correct.
So
The plural of sisters in just the regular statement, the plural of achot is achayot. That's the plural.
huh,
Okay?
okay, yes. But like in b'mitzvotav, which we do
Yes.
not pronounce b'mitzvotav,
No, we don't.
because that yud is only there to say the possessive of belongs to him, shalom. That's which is the O of the vav, or the vav is
Yeah,
there
right.
like
Third
that. The
person.
yud is only there to say, hey, the item possessed is plural.
Correct. Correct.
So
Right. And likewise here, the item possessed sister is plural. That little unit. Right.
then why would it not be achayotenu or
You know,
achayotenu?
I think the reason you don't is because the yud itself indicates the plural in this case.
And it doesn't
It's
matter which
sufficient. It's
place it's
sufficient.
placed.
Yeah. Whereas if you said, there's no other way to make make plural since ot is, a plural
Yeah,
feminine ending. So that's
yeah.
why. Okay. But in this
Yeah.
particular case, you don't need it because the yud itself will take care of it. At least
Except that
in a
there
written
is no
sense.
yud there in the
That is correct in
text
the
we
Torah.
use.
Right. And we have to assume that in Rashi's text there was a yud.
And can they tell that from the Septuagint?
Septuagint, this I do not
Septuagint.
know. I don't know. Because it doesn't, I'd have to, first of all, I don't read Greek, okay? I don't understand
Yeah.
Greek. But I mean, I'd have to see a translation of the Septuagint and of course I'd be better off if I actually understood Greek, could read Greek. Yeah. So I don't know. I can't answer, at least at this point, I can't answer the question.
Okay.
Whether what you're saying, as I understand your question, you're asking me, does the Septuagint version have sisters or sister? Good question.
Yes.
A
Well,
great
maybe you could
question. I don't.
carry that around and find somebody. And
Yeah,
so if you run into somebody who
yeah.
does know Greek, they could
Well,
tell you that.
I can always check with Rabbi Google, can't I?
Yes. Okay. Thanks.
Hmm. Always. Judith, please know, I love the questions. I think it's just for a whole ton of reasons. It's very helpful. It really is. I mean, I've quoted this before. You don't acquire Torah except with chavruta, when you're studying it with someone else. So anytime you guys want to ask me questions, just know I totally appreciate it. Okay, let's go on. Vayomer Elohim El Yaakov, Elohim said to Jacob, right? God said to Jacob, Kum, arise, Ale Beit El, go up to Beit El, Veshev Sham, and dwell there, Va'aseh Sham, and make there Mizbeach La'el, an altar La'el Hanir'eh Elecha, to the God who appeared to you, Bevorchacha mipnei Esav Achicha, when you were fleeing from your brother Esau, right? From the presence of your brother Esau. I think there, here we go. Kum ale, arise, go up. This is from the Tanchuma. Lefi, why? Lefi she'acharta baderech, right? And because you have delayed in the way, ne'enashta, you were punished. Okay. Uvalacha zot mi bitcha, and this from your daughter came. In other words, they are struggling to find, maybe not struggling, but they are asking themselves, this thing that happened with Dina, it's awful, just awful. Why did it happen? Well, the answer is that Jacob delayed. That's what we're being told. That why would God tell him get up, go, if he was getting up and going anyway, right? So apparently, if he hadn't stuck around and hadn't been around Shechem at the time, he this never would have happened. He needed to get to Beersheba, and he delayed. So that's this Rashi on this verse, giving you the little bit of the inside scoop on all this. All right, let's go on. Vayomer Yaakov el Beito, Jacob said to his household, ve'el kol asher imo, and all those who were with him, hasiru et Elohei hanechar, remove the foreign gods, asher betochachem, which are with you, in the midst of you. V'hitharu, and purify yourselves. V'usim lotechem, and exchange your clothes. Get dressed, get out of your current dress and get into some other clothes. I think there's the Rashi. So what do we mean by strange? This is still a very strange passage, right? Foreign gods in Jacob's camp. Well, here we go. Beautiful. Look at how the rabbis are about to connect this to the previous story. Sheyesh peredchem, because in your possession, mishlal shelchem, you have the booty of Shechem. And of course, the people of Shechem were idolaters. And we are told in that chapter how they pillaged the place. And this is why, contextually, this makes sense here. So get rid of that stuff, he's saying. Vehit aharu, and purify yourselves me'avodat kochavim, from any smack of idolatry. Get rid of it, right? And purify yourselves from any kind of idolatry. So interesting, just a sort of a tangential comment that purify yourself we usually think of as something positive, as a positive action. But here it's meaning something in terms of cleansing, getting rid of something. So interesting that purification actually involves the removal, right, of the taints or the impurities. So again, we might raise our eyebrows on that, right? Uh, get get changed, right? Why? Shema, lest yesh beyedchem b'ksut shel avodat kochavim, lest in your possession you're wearing the clothing of an idol worshiper, right? So it could also mean dress that that person used to get into in order to worship idols. I think, and that I think is actually really what he's referring to, because we know, when you have a formal occasion, certainly if you go to synagogue on a formal occasion, you want to dress up. You want to dress up better. We do have that term, your Sunday best. We all know what that refers to. And so he says, you might have gotten yourselves an article of clothing that that person in Shechem used to take when he went to worship his idols. You don't want to be wearing that. The idea of just eliminating it to every extent possible any trace of idolatry onwards. Uh, okay, right. Actually, we're back here. Here we go. V'nakuma v'na'ale Beit El, and we will arise. Let us arise, and let's go up to Beit El. Notice the parallel language to what God told him to do. V'e'eseh sham mizbeach, and there I will make an altar. I'll erect an altar there, la'el, to the God ha'oneh oti, who answered me b'yom tzarati, in the day of my trouble. Vayhi imadi, and he was with me, baderech asher halachti, in the way in which I went. Okay, so of course there's just one God, right? But it's that manifestation of God that I think is sort of being referred to here. God as the protector, the God as taking care of in this case Jacob, and along his way and with all the troubles that he had. So it's interesting, right? It's not that he didn't have troubles at all. In fact, there's this wonderful verse that I have remembered, Rabot, Ra'ot Tzadik, many troubles occur to the righteous, Umikulam Yatzilenu Hashem, and the Lord rescues him from all of them. And I've read some interesting statements about why the need for a righteous person to encounter adversity, and that it's such a important element of our lives and our experience in this world, adversity. Now is not the time to go into all the details, but certainly give you an opportunity to meditate on that a little bit, right? Vayitnu el Yaakov, and they gave to Jacob et chol Elohei hanechar asher bayadam. They gave to Jacob all the foreign gods which were in their possession. Ve'et hanizamim, and the earrings Nesem, though, very often is translated as a nose ring, asher be'oznehem. But we have to translate it as earrings because ozen is nothing but ears, okay? So, but a nesem can be an earring, which were in their ears. That's sort of interesting, that little circumlocution there. Vayitmon otam Yaakov, and Jacob buried them, tachat, in underneath ha'elah. Elah is like an oak tree, something like that, I'm going to guess, right? Some kind of, Rashi will talk about that a little bit. Asher im Shechem, which was there I'd say next to Shechem, right? There with Shechem. But here the word Rashi again is going to talk a little bit about this particular expression. So let's dive down into that, right? Okay, ha'ala, right? Is that what we said? Ha'ela, excuse me, ha'ela. There we go. So he says the Elah min ilan sirak. It is a type of non-fruit bearing tree. And when I looked up in Jastrow the word sirak, it has the idea of barren, right? Not bearing fruit. That's it. There is a word in Hebrew to indicate trees that are not fruit bearing. Srak, Ilan Srak. Im Shechem. So this is sort of with Shechem. He says Eitzel Shechem. The im here means nearby, next to Shechem. Going on. Vayisa'u, they journeyed. Vayhi chitat Elohim al ha'arim, and there was a fear of God on the towns, asher svivotehem, which were surrounding them, which were around them. V'lo radfu, and they did not pursue acharei bnei Yaakov, they did not pursue the children of Jacob. Chitat, right? So Rashi explains simply in one word. He's translating or putting into easier English for us, right? Easier Hebrew, excuse me. And here it means pachad, fear. Going on. Vayavo Yaakov Luza, and Jacob arrived at Luz. Remember, that was the name of Beth El initially. Asher be'eretz Canaan, which was in the land of Canaan. He Beit El, that is Beit El. Hu v'chol ha'am asher imo, he and the entire people that were with him. I think we do not have any Rashi yet. No, not yet. Vayiven sham mizbeach, and there he built an altar. Vayikra la makom, and he called that place El Beit El, the God of Bethel, Kisham niglu elav, because there appeared to him. And by the way, this is a plural niglu. This u ending indicates a third person plural. Appeared to him ha-Elohim, God, bevarcho mipnei achiv, when he was fleeing from his brother's presence. Now we got Rashi. So, El Beit El, right? The God of Beit El. What this really means is Hakadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He, Beit El, in Beit El. Gilui Shchinato Beveit El, right? He revealed his presence in Beit El. And he says, Yesh Tevat Chasera Bet. There's a word that is missing a letter Bet. Hamishameshet, right? Barosha, which normally would function at the beginning of the word. It's one of those prefixes, and you're going to see Kamor, and this is like, so he means El Beveit El. He's saying that there's this bet missing here. And he gives other examples where these things are missing. So, for example, let's find it, Samuel, second book of Samuel, chapter 9. Hu Beit Machir ben Amiel. Behold, he is and there's no bevet machil, and that's really what he means. Behold, he is, or indeed he is in the house of Machir ben Amiel. Kamo bevet Machir. In other words, what it really means is in the house of Machir. Beit Avicha, another example, right? The house of your father, and that's above in chapter 20, I guess 24. Kamo, right? Let me just double check. Yeah, chapter 24. Kamo bevet Avicha. What it means was in the house. There's that bet missing. So it could be that it gets elided because, of course, we've got two bets at the beginning of the word. And so the bet that functions as in, that's the prefix, gets elided into the second bet. Okay. Niglu elav ha'elohim. So niglu is plural, right? The Elohim appeared plural to him. B'makomot harbe, in many places, yesh shem Elohut. They use a noun regarding God, right, divine, for adnut, or masterful, or master, or adon, right, a lord, belashon rabim. That it's understood, even though that it's understood to be stated in the plural. Okay, so for example, it says "Kamo Adonai Yosef," right? So it says Adonai Yosef, where it's talking about, and this is a human master, Joseph's master. But this word Adon, again, because it denotes this kind of power and stuff, in Hebrew, this kind of word often is a plural word. Okay. Im ba'alav imo, another verse, right? And I think this is from Exodus. Im ba'alav imo, right? If his masters, there is that yud here, I guess, imo, right? Velo ne'emar ba'alo. It doesn't say ba'alo, which would be singular. V'chein elahut, and again, regarding divinity, right? Shehu lashon shofet, because it has the idea, the connotation of a judge, umarut, and dominion, niskar b'lashon rabim. Likewise, it is sometimes referred to in the plural. Aval echad mikol she'ar hashemot, but not even one of any of the other nouns, lo timsa b'lashon rabim. You will not find that even though they're in the singular, they're being referenced in the plural. There are no other examples, just these examples which connote lordship and being a master of something, etc., etc. And this is where we are going to stop for today. Okay. Here we are. Okay, sorry. Give me one moment where I can mark there. Excuse me. Okay, this is my phone call. I'm going to be getting here. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Take care. 1 second.